they'll always say, well, if you don't like it, make your own show. And it's like, hon, I am literally a starving artist. There's been a pandemic. Like, do you think I'm a TV producer? Do you think I have access to TV producers? Like, I barely know what I'm doing day to day. I don't have infrastructure and support to be able to do that.
It's Pride Month, and to celebrate, we're going beneath the sequins of the drag world with 4 very different but equally iconic drag artists. I'm Yshee Black, and today I'm joined by London drag queen, dancer, DJ and superstar, TeTe Bang.
Hello.
Bangs. How are ya?
I'm perfect, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while since we last saw each other. It was probably at a gig, you were probably DJing, and I was probably doing the most with the absolute least. How have you been recently? How's lockdown been?
I definitely thought the end of the world would be much more exciting. I thought there'd be more outfits. I thought it'd be, I've seen Mad Max. I was expecting that.
We've still got time left, don't worry. We still got time. Are you ready to talk about all things drag?
Oh my God, I'm petrified. I'm actually petrified.
Oh, don't be. It's just between us girls. Oh, look. Oh, you got a mug. What you got in there?
I've got a decaf tea. I'm drinking decaf now.
Decaf tea. Look at you.
Yeah, no, it's not that. Gosh, it's Little Zone.
Yeah, very that. This is Under the Wig. So, my lovely TeTe, for all of the viewers watching, can you describe your drag?
Oh, it's campy, it's silly, it's fun, it's feminine. That's it.
It's sickening. It's sickening drag. That's what that is. Can you tell the viewers watching, what was it like the early days of TeTe Bang, you know?
Early days. Oh my God. The struggle was real. Let's put it that way. I think that my standards were much lower. So quite often I would finish work and then I'd do my makeup on the bus on the way to a night out, or, I had no problem with that back in the day. You had to do what you had to do. And I think I'm always quite thrifty. I've always been quite thrifty. So a lot of my drag, I love the charity shops. I love an eBay. And that hasn't really changed. I've just got better at it.
That's good. We love to see it growth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm still trying to look for that growth. So if you find any spare, just let me know. And please do. Because I remember my early days, and they were just literally rolling around the clubs in Birmingham, doing the most with the least. I lost my wig in a taxi once. That was a moment, and the taxi had to come back round and give me the wig back at like 5 a.m. in the morning. It was very that.
I think people think that now like drag is really shiny and polished, but when you first start doing drag, if you're doing it properly, it's messy. It's
absolutely very. This is what I mean. This is what I try to tell the kids. I'm like, listen, you got to have your years where you're absolutely rolling around the club, an absolute mess, just having fun and enjoying.
If you're not covered in bruises by the end of the weekend, you're not doing drag.
Put it in a song. Put it in a song and let's go.
Whenever people message me, they're always like, how do I start doing drag? And I'm like, you just start. And they'll say, oh, but I'm really bad at makeup. I'm like, yeah, you will be really bad. You'll probably be really bad for like ages. And you have YouTube now. We didn't have YouTube, babe, like there is now.
I'm trying to explain to some of the kids. I'm like, listen, YouTube was bad, especially for my black queens and kings and things. It was non-existent. So we were really trying to like do something here and do something there.
Brands that make makeup just for drag queens. It was like, go to Superdrug, hope for the best.
Yeah, literally. And I think the thing about UK drag is anyway, like we're all just absolute chaotic messes and we just have a laugh. And I think that's what British drag is all about, like having an absolute laugh. Did you have any sort of misconceptions about drag when you were starting out?
I didn't have any preconceived ideas, which was probably the misconception. Like I didn't know anything. I didn't go out being like, I want to be a drag queen. I just used to go out to queer spaces and I liked dressing up. You dress up and you go to a club, you might get in for free. Maybe you'll get some drinks tokens. You can go out for no money at all. So I didn't go out being like, I want to be a drag queen. I went out being like, I want to be in a queer space surrounded by people where we can all dress up and have a lovely time. It wasn't until people started calling me a drag queen that I was like, okay, well, if we have to put a label on it, we're going to put a label on it. Fine. But I didn't realize there was so much politics to drag. And I think maybe a lot of people don't realize how much politics there actually is within space in general. They think like we're all best friends and we all think the same and we all have the same thing. And actually, it's way more complicated than that.
I know starting out, my misconceptions, sort of, I'd say, I just thought, you know, man in a dress, singing bad songs. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think it could be any more to what I know now, because drag really is all encompassing and everything, really.
I just love cabaret. I just love showing off and telling a story on stage and like, you know, having fun on a stage. And I think also as drag's become more mainstream, we now own the word much more than maybe we probably did before.
Yeah, absolutely. And even going back to like sort of like the politics of drag, and you know, there's this whole ecosystem of still what is drag, and people have to really define it. What do you think about that whole system and like entering that space?
I think especially as a queer woman, you have to be more cautious. Like don't just think that every gay man is going to welcome you into that space, because that's not necessarily true. You know, the idea of having a gay best friend is not as fabulous as maybe movies might have told you it was. And maybe all those gay bars you want to go to and like feel your own fantasy, maybe they're not going to be as welcoming as you expect them to be. And you do have to be quite strong in yourself when going into those spaces, and just, you know, don't just expect everybody to love you. It's like going into any space, you know. It's the politics of the community. You know, there is a hierarchy in the community, whether we like to admit it or not. And we're trying to deconstruct the patriarchy, but sometimes the patriarchy is still there.
Still there, yeah. It's about acknowledging it, isn't it? And like, just even in the queer community, people have a hard time actually acknowledging that it's there. So.
Absolutely. And so just go in, like, you know, cautiously. It's not all fun and games. I mean, loads of it is fun and games, but there's a lot more to it. Every industry, there is a hierarchy, and that's just how it is. It's been like systematically brainwashed into us, and sometimes really subconscious. And so, there's a lot more acknowledging we can do as a community.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of, you know, acknowledging, terminology sort of moves so fast. And so we've had, you know, the bio queens, AFAB queens. I just want to know, how would you define yourself?
I just define myself as a queer queen. You know, I'm queer. This is what it is. If like you feel the need to talk about my genitals, which like, why are you so obsessed with my genitals? You look creep. Call me AFAB, because that's what but that's what I don't mind being used towards me. Everybody is different, just like pronouns, just like asking his name, just ask somebody what they. I feel like queer is how I identify. It's where I feel my most self.
Look at you, y'all, queer, yes. Did you know any other, you know, queer AFAB artists when you're starting out?
You know what? I was quite lucky. I was really, really fortunate with the people I did surround myself with. I think I got quite lucky with the gay bar I walked into. I walked into the Black Cap in Camden, which was like my original sort of home. And I had people like me, formerly known as Meth, and Moore, who's my drag sister. But we also had Lolo Brow and Lily Snatch Dragon. And so I was around other queer women as well. So we did all empower each other. Yeah, Holstar. I mean, Holstar is an icon. And they used to perform at the Black Cap constantly. And I remember once, this is so embarrassing. I remember being in the changing room, and I was kind of just starting out, and Holstar was there, and they were doing their makeup. And I was like, I just want to tell them like how inspiring they are to me. You know, that's so cringe, isn't it? And then I just went, do you know what, Holstar, as a lesbian, I just want to say how much I look up to you. And she just went to me, babe, I'm not a lesbian. She's like, I'm queer. And I was like, oh my God. That was like, it was part of my like, because at that time I hadn't really started calling myself queer. I just was what I was. I was dating people that were whatever. And so, it takes time to acknowledge like how you identify as well.
Yeah, it always takes time. And I think, again, with like the learning process of starting drag, you know what I mean? You're going through all of those emotions, and you're doing everything. And look at the queen before us. Come on now. Look at the material. Yes. Which is why it boggles my mind, because you've spoken about being sidelined and cancelled for corporate gigs because, you know, they found out that you're assigned gender and this, that, and the other, and apparently, you know, it means something to them. What do you like think that says about like the general public and their understanding of drag?
I don't think they know as much as they think they know. They think, you know, they've watched a TV show from their sofa and now they know everything about drag.
Ooh, let them have it, sis. Let them have it.
It's true, though. I mean, we do. It's very voyeuristic, you know. The general public look at drag from their own experience and what they've been presented. They haven't necessarily been to a gay bar pre-2018, you know, or even pre-2015, because it's so much more diverse and colourful than what it is presented to us as. And that is because the people creating the mainstream content about drag are predominantly cis men, right? Because, you know, whatever, they've been able to get to those positions. So we haven't been able to be telling people what we're doing because we haven't had the opportunity to present it to the general public. So the general public do have a very warped perception, but I do hope that it's changing. And I do think it is changing. It takes time.
Yeah, it does. I heard somebody say once, why not have a drag king judge? And I was like, okay, let's go. Let's start moving these things up because it's 2021, babes. You know what I mean?
People always say to me online is whenever I comment on something, because I do interact with comments about Drag Race, and they'll always say, well, if you don't like it, make your own show. And it's like, hun, I am literally a starving artist. There's been a pandemic. Like, do you think I'm a TV producer? Do you think I have access to TV producers? Like, I barely know what I'm doing day to day. I don't have infrastructure and support to be able to do that. It's not as simple as just like making your own show.
Yeah.
Why can't we have a go on this platform?
It should be for all queer spaces, faces, and everything. But I know you've also been on another TV show that is inclusive. Okay. Yes.
You know what? I'm so lucky. I get to do loads of fun stuff.
Honestly, when I watched it, it was everything. So as far as we're aware, you're the first self-identifying, you know, female drag queen to appear on a mainstream TV show. Drag SOS. Oh, God, I love that show. I really wanted a season 2, but it had a really important message about drag and that basically anyone can do drag because drag is an art form. But yeah, just tell us a bit more about that and that whole like process and why the message was important.
I feel so fortunate to the Family Gorgeous because the concept itself was created by Cheddar. You know, it's Cheddar. When they got offered to make the TV show, Cheddar fought to have me on there. He said, it's really important that we include this diversity. Like, and they just, that was their line. They were like, we're only it if you allow this person to be on it as well, because they wanted to say that message more than anything, that like, look, it is possible to have somebody like me on the telly with a bunch of, you know, male drag queens. It was just such an amazing experience, and it was really hard work. Like, it's a really hard work trekking around the country, getting up at 5 a.m. to be in drag, to be camera ready for 8 a.m. to then go and build these like really deeply emotional relationships with people, and then create like 3 drag looks from scratch for them in the space of a week. Like, it's a lot of work, but it just was so amazing to actually see how much drag can impact people. And I think as people that live within the community, we kind of forget quite quickly how much it really can change people's lives because we're so used to it. I'm like, all my friends are drag queens, like everybody I interact with does drag. It's gone past the stage, or maybe we've just grown past the stage where it's really affecting like our day-to-day lives. And so it was really amazing to just see that moment again in somebody who really hadn't been exposed to drag at all, and see like, wow, this really can like change how people think about themselves and how they see themselves.
Absolutely. Because when I was watching it to the TV screen, I was like, this is magic. Like, this is power. This is confidence. This is love and energy and performance. And I can only imagine what you were all feeling it when you were doing it.
The first day I met somebody, and I even just getting to know them before we even started doing drag, and I was just asking them about like how they see themselves, how they see their bodies. I was not ready for like the emotional unloading I was about to receive. Like, we definitely thought we were just going to go in there and dress some people up and it was all going to be fun and games. I am a mother to many queer people. I am more than happy to listen to people tell me really personal things about their journey and who they are. And I feel like honored that people trusted me to do that. And yeah, I would love to keep doing it.
I need you back on my screen ASAP, because it was just a brilliant show, and you should be really proud of yourself, because I was chanting and whooping for you, but you've worked so hard and you've had loads of great opportunities, because things can still be really hard for any form of a AFAB queen, a queer queen. There are loads of people still currently working in the scene and working really hard to make their impact. I wonder if you have like any advice for those queens who are working, your fellow sisters.
Just don't give up. I think like if you're gonna do it, you have to go in hard. Like, my entire life is built around the fact that I do drag now. You know, even from like the space in which I live, you know, you really have to put your all into it, because there's so many people that want to do it now. I mean, I was really lucky that I started doing drag like really before the Drag Race phenomenon. So when the explosion happened, I was kind of already on the stage to be seen. I don't know how to explain. So, like, basically, like when I used to work in Camden in Black Cap, we were like the first club to bring over the Drag Race girls.
Yes,
and
you were.
It was only like a 200 to 300 person capacity club. It was really small. You know, we brought one over, it would sell out. We brought another, and then we were doing like 3 days of bringing the girls over. This was before they were doing, you know, the big O2s and these big stages, literally like a little gay bar in Camden. Yeah. And I used to DJ there. That was because we were all friends and like we all worked in this club. And so when it exploded, the whole Drag Race thing, I was already kind of in that scene. So I really was lucky with like the timing. I think it is much harder for queens now to get established and get seen, because it's so dog eat dog out there now, and everybody and their pet cat is a drag queen. and
that's really true.
It's so true. Everybody does drag. I'm like surprised if someone doesn't do drag now.
I went to the Black Cat once as well and saw Bianca Del Rio there. I got up on stage and I won the little lip sync competition that she did at the Black Cat. Yes, way before Yshee, but in that moment, Yshee Black was born, baby.
When we were putting on these shows, we did not know what we were doing. Like, we were doing it for like no money. It was just for like, so we could meet people that like we admired as well. Like, it was all fun and games. It was never like a business move or anything like that. It was just like authentic queer culture at that time.
Honestly, same. And we have like open mic night here down in Birmingham called Second Self. And we, again, just did it for fun. But the community comes together and we just enjoy performance, enjoy the art of being queer. And I just really think that that's so powerful to have.
Really does shine through as well. I think you should not be getting into drag if you want it because you want it to be your career and you want it to be your business, because I think people can see that. You've got to do it because you love it, because otherwise I think you can tell. You can tell.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask just quickly why you think drag is important to sort of the wider queer community, because I've been thinking about recently, like I am sort of myself a queer leader of sorts, and you know, the young acts look up to me, but I never would have thought myself as one. But I think us in drag spaces are quite important.
I think they're really important because we're really visible, right? Even when we're on the bus and we're going to the gig, we're being visibly queer, and we're not scared to be outspoken and tell our stories on a stage and sort of conduct queer spaces. We kind of conduct queer spaces when we're performing in them as well. And so I think we are leaders. It's kind of weird because this is like a thing that I've been like, a couple of people have said it to me recently, like being a queer leader, but I'd never really thought of myself that way as well. Similar to you, I'd never like, it was never intentional. I just thought it was a bit gobby and I had loads of opinions. But now I think because it is becoming so mainstream, we do have a responsibility to speak, because we are gobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel empowered enough to do that. You know, I feel so thankful that I'm empowered enough within myself and within my story to feel comfortable with sharing it. And I want to encourage other people to feel comfortable sharing their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think I know being sort of like a mentor to some of the younger kids, it's great because I just want to see them learn and grow and perform. And, you know, I'm always happy to like help with a mix if they need one or something like this, or what's happening there, and support them at their shows and stuff like that. I don't know about you, but I sort of, in Birmingham, we never had that. So we never had so much of a mentorship that, you know, the older drag cabaret acts would come down and see the shows.
The whole like drag mother thing, it wasn't a thing in the community I was part of. Like, obviously you learn a lot from just being backstage with queens, and like that time backstage is really where, you know, you watch people do their makeup, you ask questions, like you interact with them. I think now like young people need to be braver and like not scared to ask us for help as well, because I think people do get a bit scared to ask for help sometimes. But I also don't want the responsibility of being anyone's drag mother, because I can barely mother myself.
That's why I keep it as like drag auntie. So like, so I can have the kids, but I don't have to look after them all the time. Do you know what I mean? So like,
I don't want it. I will help you and I will give you guidance and I will, you know, but like, I don't want any mother.
Well, as you know, TeTe, the gay agenda states that we must recruit as many young and impressionable people as possible. So, in 30 seconds, can you tell us, to all the viewers watching, why should you start drag? Go.
Start drag because everybody loves dressing up. You get to have so much fun. You get to be around fabulous people. Everyone wants to look at you. You get loads of content for the gram if you're into that. Young people are into that. You can make TikTok. I don't know about TikTok, but young people do. You can make TikToks in drag. You get to meet people. You get to open up the doors for conversations, and you just get to have a laugh. Sometimes we get drunk. It's fun.
Yes, sometimes.
Like being teetotal and vegan is also totally fine. Like, we really are inclusive. We'll take anything we can get.
That was absolutely iconic. Yes. If I weren't already starting drag, TeTe, from that, I'd be signing up going, where do I sign? On the dotted line. I think about this quite a lot, and I'm like a massive geek, and I'm into like science. And I know that if I wasn't doing all of this, then I would definitely want to be like a scientist. Now, whether or not I'd get to that stage or not, that's up for a different day. But where would you be if you weren't throwing on all the wigs and the gigs and all sorts?
You know what? There's so many things I'd love to do. Like, I really recently realized that I would be a really good job recruiter because I love looking at jobs. Like, there's so many cool things you can be that like I didn't know you could be when you were at school. I would either be like an art director. Obviously, I'd be a Spice Girl. I'd also like to be a florist. I think that would be a really nice job.
Oh, yeah, florist. I can see that. You know what? Maybe you should try and get one of those floristy shows. You know, they've got those flower shows up. Maybe.
Like that. So I think like it's a nice job to have as an old lady in my mind.
Everyone happy as well, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, people come to the floristry shop and like have a shit time. Like, everyone's like happy. They're celebrating something. Sometimes it's death.
Yeah.
Why don't you do like a drag science show? Like, that is it.
TeTe, can I take the idea though? Because I don't want you to, you know, copyright.
I don't know anything about science. Don't worry.
Oh, okay then that's fine. Well, listen, this is it. Why she got science? No, I'll think of a better name. We'll get there. Well, it has been so lovely to talk to you, TeTe. Where can everyone find you? Plug yourself, my queen. Plug yourself.
Instagram, TeTe_Bang, Twitter, TeTe Bang SOS. Anywhere, everywhere, just search my name. I'll be there.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining me on Under the Wig. Woo!